Today, Radio Democracy will talk to the senior advisor at the Commissioner General's Office and National Revenue Authority, Ibrahim Sori Kamara. We will talk about the general tax compliance and safe the new system them we NRA don't put in place for able meeting target for collect revenue for government. And inside the studio now, I want to say good morning and welcome to the program, Senior Advisor Commissioner General's Office, National Revenue Authority.
Yeah, good morning, Sanctions, and good morning to everybody.
Well, the National Revenue Authority gets some of the mandates for ensure say people comply to tax enforce measures them we will make people understand and see the reason why they for pay the tax and also tax revenue generation. How the stage when they dinner for this year 2025 for ensure say the one them we tax obligated for paying tax done the reason to make we get Ibrahim Sori Kamara na the studio. Good morning, welcome to the program once more. And before we look at the main issues, waiting on the happen the National Revenue Authority of late we don't see different directives and measures them when I don't enforce for ensure say people comply at all means.
Yeah, good morning again, everybody. Thanks for having me also. Basically, as we all know, the National Revenue Authority get the responsibility for collect revenue for the government of Sierra Leone, and we don't do that work basically. And we don't necessarily of late we get series of activities we undertake for fulfill with mandate under the law, and that's for do with tax education as we do all over the place, including the process this morning, and also enforcement activities. Definitely, firstly, people have no say taxpayers or businessmen and get their own obligation, just the also get with mandates for carry out functions. The first obligation with businessmen again for register in business. After registration, definitely then go for file returns and then pay their taxes them and also report at the end of the year. So basically NIA gets a role for play in that respect for support them in providing them necessary information and also the structures them where they enhance with registration. And that make you find out say if you go to the Office of Registrar General, you go to the Office of the Corporate Affairs Commission, we get presence in there for support taxpayers or businessmen for register. Also business for no say if they fail for register now an offense. You know right for do business now sell without registration. And because if you not register, meaning that NIA not go it will capture you and not go for pay your fair share to the state for support the governance system as a Leone. So that is how we collaborate with the registry and other parties that way they play key role in the registration process.
Okay.
Then thereafter we also get offices all over the country for support taxpayers for the filing of returns. But for filing returns, basically you forget the records of what you do. Returns in a simple form where you put information on what you project for do or what you actually end up for do. Now make we start a business at the start of the year, you submit self-assessment to the NRA, that is to say now you estimate what you expect for get and they expect what you expect for spend and with the profit with the envisage, and that they form the tax we for pay on a quarterly basis. So from the self-assessment returns we for submit every first month of every year, that is for instance in January, it inform the quarterly installment we for pay in March, June, September and December.
So
but in the event where you fail for do that day, and I get the responsibility for his assessment. And I make get all the systems them where they capture information, the ITAS and one, and get the ECR and all the rest of it. I'll comment on later on. So these are some of the structures that where they in place for support and tax compliance.
So one of a big part in our National Revenue Authority are the business people, but we they refer to as business people, who that are then set of business people here, so we tax obligated to National Revenue Authority.
Well, business people they're different ways. You know, so businesses can get different types of businesses. They get a sole proprietorship when a one-man business, they get partnership when a group of individuals, they get companies. So these are the business people where they set up purely for profit maximization. So now then they pay corporate or personal income tax to the NRA. But you also get organizations where not to profit they set up for. They're doing business in a different way. They get maybe for support society in different activities, welfare, maybe human rights and all the different types of activity, or even some utility providers them, like some MDAs them and other organizations them. They all in tax compliance now for ensure say the amount of taxes we then deduct from every transaction they give it to the National Revenue Authority. We get big challenges in that respect. That is to say, even when you're not set up for profit making, the law infer a responsibility on you for deduct taxes from the payments, for instance, payments of salaries to your employees. You deduct the PY tax, and the following month on the 15th, latest, if it was given to NRA. You also get a responsibility for deduct withholding taxes as a withholding agent, like parasitals or MDAs or even private enterprises, where they set up for the purpose system. So when such deductions are made from every payments to and the contractors or other players that we deal with, therefore remit them money to the NRA. But NRA get challenged for getting money in the day. Most of the times they hold the money in the day, they know they send it over to NRA, they wait until we run after them or we audit them, or probably when we will do enforcement activities that can force some of them for pay the money in the day. And basically being a third party and failing to remit is an offense on the law. So what normally can be the consequences is that governments not get no option but I forgot to cost money to at the banking system at an interest rate very, very huge. So government they only go to us and they pay interest, and that interest they get for financed by the person will not be remit or paying taxes on time. That is why whenever taxpayers they fail for pay taxes them or remit withholding monies them to the NRA, we can normally levy penalty interest on them because that offset the cost of borrowing on the part of government. But many times we can engage them, we do audits, we educate them as to how to go about in the process. But when they can fail for do that, they will undertake enforcement. As recently I see what we do to one of the utility providing enterprises. So such actions therefore continue relentlessly until we receive all the monies that we don't what they out there, so that government will get enough resources for spend on we.
All right, we can look at some of the institutions them we unlock this payment for sake on a couple, but with una data the show of institution them we own in total almost the ONRA.
Well, the total for withholding taxes is huge. It goes into billions of hundreds of billions of leones. I not get the exact figure I asked at the talk, but now lots of money. Then we get some the way difficult for estimates, because if you talk about withholding taxes, we don't know when businesses they get contracts. We know the volume of contracts and the amount of payments we involve. That is why the law infer responsibility in the hands of the withholding agent. That when you do the contract, they inform the NRA, then you do the needful by deducting the taxes. But within taxes, just on MDAs run into over 300 to 400 billions we still chase, and most of them they can get excuses that money is not given to them to do their activities, and they get for withhold and retain NRA money. And there is nowhere in the law whether that power day for say where you withhold tax or probably you withhold GST for pay to government, if you take them, you spend them on your activities. And a blatant abuse of the Public Financial Management Act of 2016. So that act is very, very illegal. So whatever way it is, when government owe you money for one institution, you for make a case to the Minister of Finance, and obviously then get a budgetary process where you go through for getting money we you're supposed to get for our business. But holding on to NI money, they make we also know it will meet with obligation.
Right.
And that by extension also the first government for go out there in the open market for generate funds for meeting expenses where the cost very, very huge. I'll also talk later on the role of the institutions where they can pay the money out to some of the which is commercial banks where they can fail for pay over to the bank of selling the money there.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get for council that they can have very serious issue again in the part of the NRA of banks taking the money from customers to taxpayers, not paying them to Bank of Sierra and distorting the entire flow and the timeliness of the income of the state.
All right, now let's look at the institution them we owe una don't start for collect some of them money there.
Yes, sure.
How much una don't collect?
Well, up to recently, we don't get exact data, but we collect. We collect this like every day. Even a few of them were closed last week. We collect over tens or more of billions from the organizations, and now their effort now for going to payment plans consistent with the law. But some of them still closed, and negotiations are still ongoing for see how they'll get them on there. I think it's gonna be a long weekend, and today is the first working day. So we'll go back to the records and see how much of they don't comply in terms of payments, what is the amount outstanding, what kind of agreement we will put in place for sure. But I want to make it clear in this medium that everybody will owe them money, and we target up to end of June, because mind you, the country gets an IMF program. And one of the key determinants for like Sierra Leone achieve a program with the IMF they meet the revenue target. So by end of June, IMF they expect says NRA for meeting revenue target. So mean that for get all the money there. So they advise anybody with owe NRA whatever taxes we for ensure say on or before 30th of June, all the money they are inside the National Revenue Authority coffers. So that government will be able to get program with the IMF. Getting program with the IMF gets a lot of implications. Firstly, it gives guarantee to the world that Sierra Leone they operate on a sound economic basis, that we are law compliant in country and we go by international best practice, and also the open door for donors for support the budget of the country. Because what people know, the revenue NI collect and they 100% meet the needs of government. So their budgetary support partners like the IMF, obviously the World Bank, the EU, and the rest of them. So the moment we fail for meet revenue targets, they will take a look, say we're not serious. So even waiting for GIRI for support government for carry out the activity, they will not forget them on them again. So it has two effects. One, in the eyes of the international community or the world will say we're not serious in economic management processes. Secondly, we not get money for support the state. And what I mean again is that government go for pay salaries to essential service providers, government go for do the roads, the health care facilities, the education, and a lot more. We go lead to instability and of course falling standard of living of Sierra Leoneans. So these are the issues there. So as patriotic Sierra Leoneans, businesses, withholding agents, we get an obligation for remit with them on time, not only remitting but on time, and for do full disclosures. And when we can normally do audits, the one that we don't underpay or falsely declare, then also get some penalty work levy on them. So why you want for exposing company or organizations to paying penalties or interest, we're not worth it. Just mere compliance. We pay salary at the end of the month, pay why you want it, not OLAM. When you give contractor, we pay contractor, pay the 5.5% withholding tax. Not keep them. Because the moment you keep them, you will get tendency for use and for other purpose. And by the time the due date come, you don't fail, and that go lead to cost on your side and also cost to the NRA and the cost to the country again.
So Ibrahim, so from which you don't the layout on the issue of tax collection, it's clear say tax compliance will be serious issue for now, because we see within April 14 to be specific, National Revenue Authority pull a tax enforcement public notice. Also, then call on all the one that we get outstanding taxes, including interest and penalties from defaulting taxpayers. Where this include pay as you earn and other one day. Why NRA can reach this stage for call on people, business people na the deal with, where they know say this is not something in obligation they need for do as time they goes by, as long as they do business at the moment in the country.
Well, what people know is tax debts or arrears na a recurring thing, not something when a one-off payment or one-off event. It continues. For instance, when April done, the PAY due on the day where you pay salary up to the 15th of the next month. So meaning that you get for pay within that 10 day. Then May get for CAM, June get for CAM. Continuously transactions are happening. Continuously the obligation of filing and payment exists. So when you don't collect one area, there is a tendency of another area developing, because it's an ongoing thing continuously and so on. So because we engage taxpayers and continuously again, we can minimize the incidence of these areas building up. But you see how much indiscipline some individuals or businesses they get, where they don't say this is due, they are not giving to government. And one thing people know is that NI know they all side of the country, every individual place. We just rely on the delegated responsibility on the part of the agents for do the needful under the law. We'll talk about business with over 20,000 businesses in Sierra Leone, over 100 more thousand PAY taxpayers. So how many staff NI get? How many resources we get for? We're not going to deploy. Not something like the world where the tax officer get for DBN everybody 24/7. So when the areas are the build up, what we do normally, we go to the system, then we go get the integrated tax and insurance, the ITAS. So when the due dates come, the flag will not pay it, will not file it. So based on that list, they extract them, they will reach out to the taxpayers, okay. and if it's also come up and pay. So but one that's clear enough, they lead to another one coming up, because the due dates are always coming up like that.
So
it's a continuous process.
So this
You know,
compliance enforcement will also be state 48 hours commencement,
Yes.
like starting the same day when April 14. Una we
sure.
get anybody we take the serious
No,
of
no,
the one that we
definitely,
fall under this.
Definitely. The moment we can do the notice there, we get the responsible business as well, where they come up.
Okay.
And then they can meet the obligation. Then they come. Then they call some of it and send messages them. Then come up and say, we don't want issues with NRA. How much we owe? The one that we probably know will get full knowledge. But the one, of course, it will expect someone for the ITAS system. So even when you log into the ITAS system, you for see what you don't file, what you don't pay, what you don't pay. So then they clear. So many times, well, some can still come up and say, I see this kind of figure on your account, ITAS. What I have to do for forget to get over. Then again, if you still get evidence that you don't pay, because most businesses also, when they don't suffer withholding taxes, they want the way withhold from the money, no, they come to NI and pay. And when they fail for pay, by extension, that money they way therefore don't pay on behalf of the business, in order for user or for offsetting liability. So if you get 2 billion for pay as corporate tax, so somebody don't withhold 1.5 billion from the payments. So effectively now you pay 500. But if that agent did not give the money to NRA, by default you said don't be a debtor to NRA, because your account will stand unpaid, and other issues that will get normally. And I want also make it clear now that whenever you withhold tax from any payment, make sure say you get the TIN number of the person where you don't withhold the payment. So when they file withholding tax returns with the TIN number in the returns where they file, automatically the person will get a credit for that amount. So meaning also that as a withholding agent and insist say the person withhold from gets a TIN number, mean that he has to register with the NRA. So automatically they get credits for that payment day, so that your area or areas we get with the National Revenue Authority will be reduced by the amount where the withholding agent don't pay on the behalf. But without the TIN number, and when you pay also, another thing for notice that give you correct information, you correct phone number, you correct email address. So the moment the credit to your account without withholding tax amount day, you receive no notification now, either you email or you text from no CS, and I don't credit you with X amount of money where somebody don't pay on the behalf. So that don't reduce the tax burden already. But we are telling the public here that no wait till we chase you. See notice on areas, go for pay penalty and interest as well. So why you have to wait till NIA run after you for something when your obligation, and for something upon the money not to you.
All right.
Most of them. So that is basically the issues that we face.
Don't talk about key area them. Now look at the area of the 5th installment liability. Break that down to we listen and view them, and let people and we get the obligation for pay tax understand waiting this they try for talk about in terms of ensuring that una able meet una target when a tax collection.
Okay, thanks again. The 5th installment now a payment where taxpayers and they make on the day when they file the final financial statement. That they can do normally the 4th month of the following year. That is when they are done 31 December up to 30th of April of the following year, and actually for pay 5th installment. How that they come into being? Firstly, when they are start, the taxpayer they do estimate of a income, estimate of expenses, as I mentioned earlier. Then you get a projected profit where you anticipate for the year. So like January of 2024, for example, all businesses and they submit to NRA and projections of income, expenses, and profits and the tax. So the tax and the tax we don't declare as you expected. Tax payments now they pay every quarter 1/4 of them. So if now 4 million you estimate 9 tax liability, every quarter you pay 1 million. So till the December you don't pay the 4 million done. But when they are done, December 31 don't come, you do your financial statements, consolidate everything, the audit time and validate time for saying indeed this is what has happened. So at the end of the day, you can end up for make profit where arise what will give you obligation will pay more than the formula we don't pay already. So if all is done, you don't do your accounts, the auditors they don't audit time, they don't confirm say indeed your tax will be 5 million instead of 4 million. That extra 1 million they now you pay on the 30th of April where they submit financial statements. So now called 5th installment, yes. So 30th of April this year, now the last day for file annual audited financial statements to the NRA for close 2024. You see, so that is the due date for file annual financial statement. So that is the fifth installment. That the excess of your actual profit over the estimated profit. That excess day now they pay as the fifth installment on or before 30th of April. So we don't tell businesses and say many times it can find it difficult for submit the audited financial statement on the 30th of April with the candles tomorrow or thereabout. So we don't advise and say even if your accounts have not yet been audited, but you don't put it together, because no businessman will tell me now say for 31st of December 2024 a no don't get draft financial statement yet. So when these drafts have been prepared, even though they are not fully audited yet, if they are audited fully, obviously you can file them fully like that. But if they are not yet audited, but you get them drafted, and they file that temporary or that provisional financial statements to the NRA to the ITA system. It will help you not for pay penalty, because the moment you not file the returns, audited accounts on the 30th of April, the system generates penalty for you. And also, if the estimate between which you don't submit as provisional and which you pay actually two different, there's also some payment of penalty and interest in the process. But when you file the provisional one, 2 months down the line, when the accounts are now fully audited, you can bring the actual one to the NRA. You can accept that just for comfort's sake. Then that also they inform you for pay the 50 installments on that draft accounts. So I'd advise business Nigeria that not wait until your auditors account the final accounts, right, but submit the draft and pay you 50 installments on draft accounts. But again, now for also no say NIA gets an obligation or responsibility for go and audit you after you don't file. So that is why those filed accounts try for show a true and fair view of your level of activity. And anything NIA audits, we all know that we discover any underpaid amounts, definitely there's going to be a cost on that.
Within the law say?
So that's the 50. The law on penalty or
yes,
interest?
the law on penalty, what you say?
Yes, of course. It depends as to how long or late you delay for pay. If you delay for pay from 1 month, 2 to 3 months, the penalty gains from 10% to 25% of the total liability. But again, for also not say there is also interest payment, because when you delay to pay, you don't also delay government for spend.
Right.
And government will wait for you for pay. Government will go trust a bank, and when you trust a bank, government they pay interest. Mind you, the treasury bearer bond interest is very high, and the law give you right for charge interest of that treasury bearer bond they plus 3%. So if government they trust at 41%, means that your interest will be 44%. Okay. Because there should be a premium over the market lending rate.
Okay.
So that is going to be an extra cost on you, the businessman, where you fail for do your obligation on time. So that is what I'm saying. If the 50 installment is due to a company, basically try for pay by today, tomorrow, and file your accounts.
All right.
Any one day added day, you don't expose to huge financial loss.
Okay, explain a lot of things we get for do with revenue generation and the rest. But this being time we see we are in on a go lock institution, the one part then get for do with EDSA and SLRSC. So apart from the one there, any other one they again won't lock?
Well, the team they continue for GAU today, because we don't have very close to the holiday, and we get a long list of all the business system and private enterprise and also go for close. So the closure they continue by the domestic department. So and as I mentioned earlier, we not for wait until NIA go and seal you or use distress action against you. Maybe the seal off now one of the measures. Make also use opportunity for explain all the powers the NIA get for recover debts. Another power get now for do a third party recovery. Go straight to a bank and take money, commodity. Or stop you from accessing the bank account until you come to NI for make payment plan. Sorry. And the other one also can be preventing the business officials from traveling. So get the power for stopping at Lunge or wherever borders and I said, not for go out or go to pay. I don't know about several times. We also get the power of preventing the businessman or any of his senior officer from clearing goods through the ports. So if you import come, we can stop you not for clear until you pay. Mind you, the customs area, NIA control area as well. Okay. So we get them powers in there. Then we'll get power for even seizing goods and auction them.
Okay.
And taking a court and even maybe fall on the motor car, any property we get
Okay.
for recover with that same. So the list is long and we prepare them. But very soon we'll go to the media again and we'll publish
Okay.
the list of all the one we NRA, and we'll then go for enforce collections starting from today.
Okay. So EDSA and SLRSC, what in specific on a lock them for and almost the owner?
Well, ESA specifically, the major liability we then get for paying at GST. I wonder how ESA owe GST. Basically, ESA decided to go light. Everybody they buy a top up from ESA, and the cost of that top up then they include GST elements of 15%. So all ESA will do when they sell credit to we, the 50% GST they for pay to NIE, connect to the money. So what they do, they know they pay that money to NIE, and all that money they convert it into the use, which is illegal. So the debts we don't build up over time. Just for this year now, over 55 billion. If you put last year, they 9 over 300 billion. Where is that away? But for make it easy for them, we say, well, let them focus on paying us just this year debt. One this over 55 billion. So then the one for the previous year or previous years, definitely we can come at the table and discuss how they will pay them small. But it has been very difficult. So they several letters, we don't engage them, they don't make payments plans them, they're already in making and fulfill that commitment and so on. So, and also there are some elements of PAY and withholding also in that. The same thing as SRSC, withholding tax and PAYE. Then money they take out from salaries of workers then they give to NRA.
Then
they cut them from over 15 billion. Then they cut them from suppliers payment, then they give me time. And this is very, very illegal. And we meet the withholding tax of the contractor is definitely for pay in corporate tax to NRA. So you put the company into proper points again. But to not start the discussion, I not say they don't meet head office, and I think the negotiations are still ongoing. Hopefully, but before this week is done, we'll able to come out and update the public as to how much they don't pay with the arrangements they don't make for government money, because we don't start any business.
So why you say a particular area they want to give exception to them and say let them pay just for this year? Alone or something?
No, we're not giving an exception. We are negotiating a payment plan.
So that's excluded? The other years?
No, not excluded. A full package. We look at the total liability. What's in over 300 billion. There's no way we're not going to write for waive debt. And I'm not going to write for waive any taxpayer debt. If we waive a debt, to an act of parliament, as the Constitution of Leone clearly states. But within the law giving right for doing for negotiate, for sit down and see how realistic this man can pay. I will give you sometimes for negotiating plan, they would ask for bond guarantee. For say in case you not pay, or they fall on the bank for giving them on the day. So they log you all the powers. They negotiate the plan, sign it off. Then in an event where if we say you are so much of not reliable or trustworthy taxpayer, we can get the bank for
according to NI
bond for cover that negotiated amount there.
According to National Revenue Authority, on the notice where they pull on this action or decision on a take on then to government institution, on I say this is a temporal seal. From last week to now, any engagement don't come up from the defaulters there, but here I go get a proper
I'm not
understanding.
I'm not saying negotiations don't start. I'm not able to give fully the details of negotiation now because it happened almost to the weekend and today is the first working day. But of course, the team will do the seal off, work closely with the operational units and the Commissioner General's office for see how we can come out with an agreement. But I'm sure progress has been made, but we'll not get full details now for telling that.
Okay.
Yeah, so then the ongoing.
You may talk about SLRSA and EDSA, but rumor they go around say UNASEF or EDSA.
Well, an officer that come to knowledge in a way, because one thing I know is if we owe EDSA, then suppose for don't communicate to we and provide evidence. But one thing we may know is that offices they all get prepaid meter, or they buy top up constantly for giving light. But I'm not saying yes or no. That will not or EDSA. If there is any evidence or proof that NI or EDSA, let them channel them the areas to we officially. We'll look into around them, then they will pay. Definitely, we're not get issues of paying of our debts. If there's any actually let EDSA for them to we, then we'll vet them then once there's evidence to the effect, then we can meet that obligation.
All right.
But we're always buying our top up to get light anyway.
All right. Before we can look at the challenge, them some time back we can say wanna set up a body where they look into customs the issue we are in. The minister been say they're not satisfied with the way how customs they collect revenue for government. How far with that investigation there?
Yeah, well, it's still an ongoing process. As we been talking last time, so we can make it clear there that we look at the issue of the CVC, look at the declarations, the way importers they make, and the computation of duties and so on. So there is now some thorough understanding between we and ITS, we and all the other port operatives. We don't get meeting with the Sierra Leone Chamber of Commerce, with the importers, and all the operatives in the ports. So we get a working document now we will work with. We get good interactions now with the clearing and forwarding agents, and there has been some level of commitment and demonstration of good faith. That's been an agent of government or an agent in the trade facilitation process. They also don't get commitments that they will always try to do the right thing, like the client agents, for ensuring they support NRA for generating much needed revenue. But the dialogue now don't open wider than it used to be, because many times we think it causes kind of misunderstanding in a way we know they interact as frequently as possible. So we don't get an opportunity now, we don't get a platform where we meet frequently, they don't bring up the issues, we don't get working teams there where they work on them, then we're clearing the issues gradually. And make the go on look stabilize a little, and the revenue they come in as so for come.
So the last OST Commissioner General Nayaso, we take with you about the same tier we don't talk about it. We talk about NRA target for 2025, and according to 18.9 billion.
Yes.
Now NRA target for this year. How far are they on achieving this?
Yeah, well, we work very hard for each the yearly targets. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we get commitments from it at least the half yearly, as normally we can do, because there's quarterly targets, there's half year, and moving forward the annual target. So we're working so hard for get there. There's been a small shortfall in first quarter, but definitely spilling over to second quarter. Now that make we take all the measures there for recover areas for balance of payments for first quarter, and see how much we enforce and ensure see people do not owe for second quarter. So once we walk along that line, and we're very optimistic that we can meet the half yearly target when a requirements of the IMF for get a program with the government of Sierra Leone. That is why we don't robustly embark on debt collection and also efficiency gains, because the moment we allow the systems there for be porous, we allow Asikuda to be abused by the users, we allow domestic tax department probably get some loopholes with taxpayers that will play around, maybe even with officers, as the case may be, to some extent go undermine the target meeting. So closing those holes or managing them efficiently can lead to recovery of those monies, and also embarking on robust debt collection activity where that would start off with.
So with
all optimistic for get half yearly figure.
With all the lapses we done in tax collection, we soon don't take physical action on closing some institution with on the flout tax obligation. You think so now really they anyway close on achieving this?
We're very optimistic, and we're working very hard.
In what?
To
But
achieve.
what about in action?
In action, that's what yes, reality. That's what I'm saying. That's why you see that the enforcement actions. Because one thing about tax collection, if like they are talked to tomorrow morning, if we not put foot at the and boots at the gun, we'll not get the money. So and now not the time we always do actually, but we are putting in more resources this time around for ensure say we get at the last cent come June 30th for get the half year target. So that is why enforcement for the next 2 or so months will be one of the trumpet card we'll use, and we're not mindful for disrupt any business activity as long as they owe NRA. So for let businesses and get a smooth flow, let them meet the obligation. No wait till we come. The one that will go is their machines there, let them use the machine in the. We not use them, we can't we not say no use the machine, we close the business with the first collection of the debt. Then another thing you are also being clear now, one of the agents where they undermine revenue collection work in the banks them. They are supporting us by serving as an agent of collecting those monies from taxpayers. But some of them also, they know they do the right thing by remitting those monies to the Bank of Sierra Leone on time.
Who are the bank there?
Next step, I'll call one specific bank now. The
Okay.
Guarantee Trust Bank is one of them.
That GT Bank.
GT Bank. We are
Okay.
there are a few of them, but they have been notorious. I'm saying it's clearly here because the law give you the right for name and shame. So what we're now saying here is that when you collect money for NRA, within 24 hours for remittance to Bank of Sierra Leone. But some of these banks are holding on these monies and they trade on there for make more money away. And some of them, then they remit less than waiting and they can collect. So by extension, you do undermine government.
Okay.
Money not to you owe them. So now what you will do, there's an MOU between the banks and NRA for do their work there for we and we pay the fee commission. If NRA owe you commission, actually pay you. But it's not gonna write under the law for all government money for trade them. Because no thing you do normally, because let's say get monthly targets from it and get quarterly targets, annual targets, then the only money for making the cash level look high. Then when they don't meet their own personal objectives as a company institution, they later they give it to government. But by extension, government is suffered by that. So now we therefore come effectively and robustly for chase them back there. And mind you, the treasury bear rate of 41%. So we'll be levying 44% interest on any one single cent where any commercial bank hold will not remit out within 24 hours. And we also therefore revoke the powers of collection for them and we blacklist them.
Okay.
So any bank will own any money will not remit in 24 hours, will they penalize the treasury bear 8 plus 3% premium, then will they revoke you rights for collect and will they blacklist you and will make noise about that nationally and internationally. So we advise the banks them for remit them on there and we now know the rival pa any revenue targets. Where you get targets for meeting cash flow, we should get targets for government. So, but let targets they're not conflict at all because we get a bigger responsibility.
Now you don't talk about so many issues and the issue about challenges. Still now one will say they affect NRA on tax collection. In any way, duty waiver concession, outside and can get certain individual or institution exemption on a tax waiver for say will not pay this amount or not pay at all on tax on certain things where they bring in a challenge to NRA on making sure that on a meet on a target.
Yes, so to a greater extent, in the sense that if we give away too much, definitely we get ability for collect less.
Okay.
You know, and waiver obviously they increase the tax expenditure, and that they reduce revenue inflow. So we can always engage Minister of Finance and see how much we forever like they quantify the revenue lost in the before a waiver is sent to Parliament for approval. I think as bodies of government with the collect revenue, we need to look at how much are we losing. Then also when these waivers are given to an act of Parliament, they become legal actually. But again, what you not can do most times now for monitor the waivers there. We get from no say waiting we give the man as waiver, is this actually what they're utilizing? Ministry
of Finance can get back to and seek on a consent for see if this day in line or not affecting on a tax collection.
Well, normally they don't pass the laws in the. At times we can sit down and discuss. At times the laws can be passed before even coming for like implement.
Okay.
But outside me come from like the level of collaboration. Let us see now the waiver don't go through a due process. It don't become law. So we also get another phase of implementing the law by monitoring that what will give this taxpayer actually use them, because there's a tendency of the taxpayer taking more than what he will give them. So if the taxpayer don't get a waiver, we left and no more the cow it goes as much as you want for cow it will overuse that waiver rights and that undermine revenue. So I think we will go for being work or don't start the discussions with the Minister of Finance to see how we will collaboratively form a monitoring team wait for the validate and verify within the money they carry as against within the law provide for them.
All right. We look at messages and inside the program. This one say, who is in charge of domestic tax department? Why can't he come on air to explain instead of Mr. Suri? Anyways, you explain nice.
This one from our Facebook page where Mark 10 and New England will send say the decision to close down EDSA also came after EDSA failed to attend the meeting scheduled for April 23rd this year after notification from previous week. EDSA absence was not just negligent, it was reckless and disrespectful to national institution. More action needs to be taken for Macton and New Englandville.
This one say, what's your relationship with PSC on tax compliance?
This one, as from what you just explained, Mr. So it's clear that there is no proper coordination between National Revenue Authority and Ministry of Finance. And this is one big problem if government institutions are not collaborating and working in the interest of the country.
This other one from Tunde Scott is say NRA is one of the main reasons for the economic hardship in the country. They keep on increasing tax on business people, who in turn increase the prices on goods to recover their tax they pay to NRA.
Another message from Facebook page, you say, if NRA is on the stage of closing down government institution, it's clear that their target for this year may not be met. I pray people understand and see the need on tax collection, especially those who are tax obligated, to ensure that they pay their tax.
The last one I will take for now because of time, from Abu Bakar Mafo Bangura is say, Ibrahim, sorry, what evidence or instance do you have to support your claim on GT Bank? Mind you, we have seen banks who had default and which the NRA have taken action.
This one is say, previously these different measures and rigid steps were not taken by EDSA, but by National Revenue Authority, but they were meeting their target. What is missing is this, that there's a loophole or porous system within the different sector of revenue collection, starting from customs and so on. Well, because of time, would they come over to our studio guest? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Texters. I will come to the collaboration between PSC and NRA in tax compliance. Obviously, PSC in a Public Accounts Committee, and then get a mandate for look at the Auditor General's report and any outstanding issues with the day, and they can also support we for follow-up. And I want the public to know, say, PSC, the operation not be dictated by NRA. They get a mandate, and they also have with the support revenue collection. In fact, I guess for no say they have a list of businesses them way they don't invite to PSC for provide evidence of payment of withholding taxes. Firstly, not to NIA get that list there, but the list is available in the public domain, because if there is an Auditor General's report where identify say XYZ not being paid withholding taxes, PSC gets a responsibility or a duty for support for recover the money there. So not so NIA they will complain, not so NIA they will say Kaipi collects that they have their mandate and we are there to support their work, because we are collaborating and for achieve the objective of revenue maximization. Then the other aspect of say NIA they increase taxes now make the country hard, NIA not get mandates for increased tax, not to we the levy tax even. We are only there to collect taxes based on the law, and the law is enacted by Parliament in line with an economic framework.
Okay.
So we're only there to implement. The other thing we have to therefore know is that they say why with the local businesses now makes the target is challenging. Of course, the target is always challenging because of lots of factors that we don't discuss here and more. But the thing is, closing businesses is not a single beginner. It has always been the one of the rules of engagement, and we are doing that in Council for Duam. GC Bank has some evidence, not to here they can provide evidence. GC Bank and other banks and other institutions, they don't say when and all remit the money, we didn't know. Evidence and DD.
Okay.
So basically, if they want the evidence of a say, we're going to write them, we're going to pursue it, and we'll go for levy interest on them. And say, want evidence, we'll provide evidence on levy interest. And we'll not say, the other thing we need to know here is that we get some companies, them, one of the mining companies, them, we then get obligation for pay GST and later they claim refund. But what some of them they do now, then they take them on, then they, instead of the they pay them PAY withholding taxes, then they withhold them on them day and they use them for offset liabilities. So mean that the law is clear on GST refund. When you get your GST refund for be made, you apply through the process, and within 90 days, NI for the refund payment.
Okay.
There is no mandate on the mining companies then for use PAY for offset the money we not refund them, because there's a 3-month period. So even there was an existing MOU, we therefore notify all those arrangements and they and we'll go strictly by what's in the law, and the law takes precedence. MOU
Okay.
is subsidized to any law. So companies that will not say they don't get mandates for defray any other liability based on the fact that they expect refund for CAM. So now that's how I make clear here.
Okay.
And for the steps of enforcement, we get for continue on another day. Tomorrow the deadline for file annual financial statements. So let's make sure to file and pay fifth installment because it's very, very important. And so I want to go close my business again for the 14 on that respect.
Okay, plenty thank you. We guest inside this edition of the program. Good morning, Salon. Name na Ibrahim Soe Kamara, Senior Advisor at the Commissioner General's Office, National Revenue Authority. Maybe they talk about tax compliance and also the stage and the on collecting tax and also the challenge we NRA get at the moment on the one they will not agree for comply for paying tax. Once more, thank you. We guest inside this edition of the program. Good morning, Salon.